fourth, or worse on virtually everything. Now, Woody Johnson fired back at the owners' meetings. We're going to Albert Breer in about 45 minutes from now. And that Woody Johnson said, I love this quote. He said, this is a bunch of hooey, the whole process, how they collected the information. It's supposed to be a process where we have representatives, they have them, so we know it's an honest survey. Here are the 4 teams that got really bad grades. Arizona, Michael Bidwell, historically cheap. The Jets and Woody Johnson, Cleveland and Jimmy Haslam, and Carolina and the very impulsive David Tepper. I don't know any of the men, but it kind of checks out, right? You know who used to do really bad at this? Dan Snyder, Washington. Yeah, he got forced out of the league. So, and the Jets, by the way, have the longest drought, this is true, in North American sports. Longest playoff drought. We're talking all the sports in North America, Canadian teams, our teams. No. So the Jets have also, they're doing a doge on their front office. They've offered to buy out roughly 170 of the 250 employees. What does that tell you? So ask yourself, how did the Washington Commanders turn around immediately? They'd run through GMs and coaches and players. They got rid of the owner. And how did the Clippers go from a laughingstock to viable almost overnight? They got a new owner. The Dodgers, since they got rid of cheapskate Frank McCord, 2 World Series titles, 11 division titles. He was an awful owner. They got rid of him. I think he still owns the parking lot. Bad owner, left. Team immediately got better. The market didn't change. The stadium didn't change. The owner left. So you see a pretty common thread. I mean, I've worked in my life, I've worked for 6 different corporations. 2 radio, Entercom, and iHeart. And I've worked for 4 different television corporations. One of them smaller, Sunbelt, Fox, Disney, Belo was Texas-based. I think it got gobbled up. So I've worked for 6 different corporations. And I've worked for some great ones. I'm in a very good spot right now. And I've said that multiple times. And I've worked for some stinkers. And let me tell you, the difference is not the employees. I've worked with great employees my entire life. The difference is the ownership. Bad ownership, what do they say? The fish rots head first. Like, it's bad ownership ruins the temperature in the room. It creates anxiety. So, you start looking around. Look at the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban leaves. Protests, trade off Luka for just not enough. It matters. So Woody Johnson can point fingers on this stuff, but overall, if you look at all players voting on this stuff, it was really an encouraging NFLPA survey. Like, almost all the teams went up, except for the Jets and Carolina and Cleveland and Arizona. And and you start looking at these individual rankings, it's C+ down. I mean, the only thing the Jets did well was nutritionist. I mean, you would think in New York, LA, San Francisco, some of the hip markets, the nutritionist would be kind of a guaranteed A. No. I don't even have a nutritionist. I would give mine a B+. I don't even have one. Like, you got to be able to get smoothies right. Sorry. But they did everything poorly. Ownership, how you treat families, meals. Come on. I don't think it's a lack of honesty, because everybody else in the league, except like 4 teams, everybody was like, yeah, things are good. Things are better. We had TJ Hushmanzada on this show, telling the story that it used to be with, like, the Cincinnati Bengals, they all threw their jock straps in the middle of the room and washed them.
Okay, let's talk about this. I had a lot to say about all of this. Specifically also the owner, Woody Johnson's house, saying that this is totally bogus and, essentially disagreeing with this grade that was literally by the players themselves. This really goes off on what I was saying the other day, specifically with the Dallas Cowboys and delusion, and the importance of facing reality. And how if you keep telling yourself lies, if you keep rejecting the truth of a situation, the farther you get from your goal, the farther you get from reality itself. You continue to live in delusion. And this is a problem when you have someone like a Woody Johnson. First off, do you guys realize, like, he's the heir to Johnson & Johnson, one of the largest companies in the world on planet Earth. And it was started by his great granddaddy. So Woody Johnson wasn't born on third base. He was born in the owner's box. He was born owning an entire country, essentially. So the delusion that is going to infiltrate someone like that is truly boundless. Truly boundless. When seeing something like this, if you're the owner and you see all this and you see ownership as an F and head, and team travel and locker room and all of this, your immediate response should be, oh man, how do I fix this? Oh man, how do they reach these conclusions exactly? And you would want to like learn about the process and this and that. And you're like, oh man, all right, I don't want this, man. I want A's across the board. I'm loaded. I am the definition. I'm not powerful. I am power. I can't have that. This is New York. Like what? I want everything to be amazing. I mean, like but then your automatic response is, this is totally bogus. It's like if you go on 10 dates and all 10 dates, the girl tells you that you're a jerk. You're probably a jerk. Sure, you could say, I went on a bunch of dates with a bunch of losers. They don't know what they like. Girls these days, they're just a bunch of gold diggers. It's like, okay, sure. Delusion is scary. It really is. It really, really is. It makes me think of the episode of South Park with Fish Sticks. The Fish Sticks episode with Cartman, and they're trying to figure out who wrote that joke. And in Cartman's mind, he wrote the joke. He crushed a Black Widow spider, slayed a dragon or whatever. Like it's a funny episode. And Kyle thinks that he's just lying. He's like, oh my God, you're such a liar. Then he realizes, oh my God, like you're not lying. Like you actually truly believe that you created this joke. Like you created this joke. And I remember watching that episode and thinking to myself, like, that's so scary that there are people that are actually like that. I've met people like that. And I got afraid, like, could I ever be like that? Am I like that? You wouldn't know. And I was like, no. Like I had the opposite problem. I'm so hyper self-aware that it gives me deep anxiety because I'm aware of like every single thing in every single moment. So I'm like, I got the opposite problem. Sometimes I live too much in the reality and I find my own faults in every single situation. Keeps me up at night. And it's so fascinating because when I was watching that episode as well, I remember watching it and thinking this episode was genius. It was brilliant. They had a song that was awesome, that was funny. The whole concept of the episode itself was so funny and so well written. Those guys, Matt and Trey, the creators of South Park, are literal geniuses. And I just remember thinking, I was a little inebriated, and I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, this is brilliant. Like this is art. Like I want to do stuff. I want to make stuff. I want to be part of something. Like what am I doing with myself? Like what am I doing here? I'm just like watching this episode laughing, and then what am I going to go do? I do nothing. Like literally nothing. Like what am I doing? I had to face reality. Like what am I doing? I can laugh and love this episode and think it's so funny and think it's a genius and art, and in my mind say like, I want to do stuff like that. Okay, so then go do it. You got to face the reality of the situation. And then fast forward years later, when I started building my own self-confidence, I remember hearing a song from MGK, the song Make It Happen. And then there's like a line where he's like, I used to dream until I realized that I wasn't blank in reality. And like that hit hard too. Because I'm like, here I am feeling all good, feeling like I'm doing stuff in life. Like moved cross country, feeling good. And it's just like, but like, what am I doing? Am I bigger in my mind than in reality right now? Like what am I doing? What am I doing? And I've had many moments in my life where I had to face the reality of the situation. I had to face hard truths. But people don't always want to do that, especially wildly wealthy, successful people. Even if you built something from the ground up and you made, you're Jeff Bezos and you made Amazon. Like, you're a huge reason why Amazon is Amazon. Doesn't mean you're flawless. Just because you built $1 gazillion company doesn't mean that you know everything about every other company. Doesn't mean that you know how to run, a grocery store, a newspaper, etc., etc. So even if Woody Johnson was really important to Johnson & Johnson, which he's not, doesn't mean you know how to run an NFL team. And again, I see stuff like this indefensible. Quite frankly, all the teams, it should be A's when you really think about it. Treatment of families. How is that not an automatic A? Like, how, as an owner, you not like your families are 100% taken care of? I want them to be treated like royalty. Like, how is that not, like, said at the beginning of every season? At whatever, first meeting that they have or whatever. Food and dining area. Bro, it starts with food. Literally, it starts with food, how we feed these guys. I want the highest quality food that you could ever imagine. Locker room. Dude, they spend a tremendous amount of time in the locker room. I want them to feel like it's home, it's comfortable. The training room and training staff. Bro, do you want bigger, stronger, faster players? You want them to live in the weight room, eat food, and chill in the locker room staying out of trouble. There you go. Boom. You should want them never leaving the training facility and locker room, because when they leave, that's when they get in trouble. That's when they do nonsense. But if you create, and that's why I always say we need to put all the money in these, like, inner city schools, because these kids should be able to just want to stay there all the time. Keep them out of trouble. The schools should be like paradises. People from New York should know that better than anyone. I mean, strength coaches, again, if you don't have a high quality strength coaches, it's like, I don't know what you're doing. Team travel. I mean, you're traveling literally all over the country. You want these guys to be comfortable. Head coach, that's going to always fluctuate depending on who your head coach is. And ownership, again, man, that's on you. That's literally on you individually, and also now probably is influenced by all the other stuff. Like these things are such no-brainers. No-brainers. But when your great granddaddy literally created one of the largest companies in the history of the world. This is what you get a lot of times. This is what you get. Because if I became randomly super wealthy, if I created, I don't know, I invented something. I invented like a pillow that everyone just loves. It's really amazing. And they're like, oh God, man, you created the best pillow. And I became a billionaire and I was able to buy a team. Like, I would deeply understand all of this other stuff because I lived it more. If I was born rich, I was born loaded, I would probably not understand some of these things. I would just put it on the other people. But I just think when you're running a business, and you're the owner, and you have the means, like, that's the thing, you have the means. It's always crazy to me if you have the means, and especially have the means, like, in massive excess, how you don't just give, how you don't just create. Like, some of these owners, they have so much money that they have the ability to make and create some of the greatest situations, like, known to mankind, and it wouldn't actually even cost them anything. Like that's the thing. It would cost them like a month's salary, like a month's paycheck. Like, it would essentially be like nothing. Truly, it would be like nothing. And they have that ability. They have that ability. Like $10 million to Woody Johnson is equivalent to under $3,000 for someone who has a net worth of $100,000. I mean, think about that. Think about that. $10 million is equivalent to under $3,000 for someone who has a net worth of $100,000. And you're telling me that you can't have a better locker room, food and dining area, treatment of families? I mean, it's crazy. It really is. It's indefensible. And in a lot of ways, I also blame the NFL as a whole. Because, yeah, we should put it on the owners. But also, like, the NFL should be like, we do this also because this is a disgrace. You can't have a D+ locker room. Anything under a C, and you're subject to, losing the team. Like, whatever it is. Like, there has to be, parameters here. There has to be parameters. There has to be a standard. There has to be. So, and again, it's kind of ironic too, because it's kind of tough to really, really know, because some of these teams that get like a D+ locker room, it could still be like amazing, it's hard to like ever really, really know. But we know some of these teams are run kind of crazily. And I've been around the block once or twice where, I've been taken care of, whether through athletics or through just like other, aspects of my life, where, I'm treated like a king essentially, and you can see like, oh wow, like this is awesome. And then you could see on, on other sides where you're like, you're treated like nothing. You're treated like, trash just blowing in the wind. And you're just like, whoa, this feels different. This is a different experience entirely. And I just think if you're the New York Jets, and your owner is worth billions, stuff like this becomes so indefensible. And when you're so delusional that you say, oh, this stuff is totally bogus, if this was like some sort of like outside, polling or something, like it was some sort of like third party, kind of report that they do, where they just like hire someone else who's like, taking, some woman with like a clipboard and who's like, taking notes and stuff, then I can understand. You can kind of push back on that a little bit, but it's through the NFLPA. So that's on you, bro. That's on you. You need a new Tinder profile. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about this totally bogus report card for Woody Johnson? Do you think he's the biggest issue for the New York Jets? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.